In the beginning, that there are colors, and with colors, two of each complement each other. Um, Red goes with green, yellow goes with purple, and of course, orange goes with blue. Well, you saw the title, so you should know what I'm gonna be talking about. Myths Are 100% True has had a long history with many iterations of the game, but to look into the history of Myths Are 100% True, we're gonna have to go a good while back to 2016. The developer Leathericecream has had the idea of Hlev in his game for quite a while, with the first draft being Slavia, or was it called Slavija? I I don't know. Leather would upload the soundtrack for Slavia on January 5th, 2016. Although it said he developed it around 2014 to 2015, but in the description for this soundtrack, he said how it's scrapped and how it would stay that way. Slavia was scrapped due to being way out of Leather's usual light-hearted tone, and also due to how the gameplay wasn't that interesting. I mean, just look at this. Would you want to play this? Leather is usually a silly guy, always having dumb shit to say that ends up being funny or even dumb shit to talk about, because he loves finding absolute unknown internet shit and yapping about it. Um, so it was certain that he was gonna scrap this game due to its depressing nature and sad-looking environments. Like, this is the same guy who made Mario Obama, or tried to make Mario Obama. But, of course, with a scrapped game, there's gonna be many concept arts and ideas for it, so let me show you some. But some were more special than the others. Now, everyone should know about Pekka, Hlev's alternate, shadowy, scamming version of himself. But what if I told you that there was someone else? There seemed to be a cover art drawn for a song that didn't get made by Harvey Rothman. Perhaps Leather said it didn't need to be made due to him deciding to scrap the game around that time, or something else. So, here it is. Hlev seems to be at a bar counter along with someone else. Someone that looks like him, but it isn't Pekka. It's someone else entirely. A weird, shorter version of himself with dot eyes and a shorter, slanted hat. Now, I couldn't really find any concept arts or things that Leather said regarding this strange variant of Hlev, so perhaps he thought of this guy during the end of Slavia, well, or the first version of it, around where it got scrapped and Leather didn't get around making any art for him. For now, this weird guy had no name to him, and could have probably been a one-off idea that Leather didn't go back to. Or heck, maybe this is just how the other people in Slavia look. We really had no clue back then, and due to Slavia not being the most well-known thing, or no one really asked about this weird version of Hlev, or that anyone even knew that much anyways. But after some time, Slavia would start being worked on again. It would be entirely different. For this would be Slavia Bottle Edition. Well, actually, there seems to be a second prototype of Slavia between the first one and Bottle Edition. It was called Morph Edition. It was I made around late 2017 to 2018, I think. This was just the first attempt with Michael making a Slavia with leather, where the main thing is that the ground morphs. I think this was short-lived, since I assume both Leather and Micah would drop this to go work on at least their Chedovic. That, anyways. Now, the Slavia Bottle Edition was definitely something. It's a good-looking game, but that's kind of all it had. I assume this was worked on after Cheddar being complete, or maybe was being made along Cheddar's game. It was made to test out the environment and world building, and the weapon you have is well, a bottle. I guess that could have been more interesting than the gun, since you would have to get closer to enemies, and it would make finding more tense, but still the combat wasn't anything special. This version was made somewhat recently, somewhere around 2019 to 2020, or sometime later. It's not easy finding information for all these builds. Now, it seemed like Bottle Edition had way more made for it in the concepts department. You could tell Leather improved a lot since the days of the first Slavia. That's what drawing a lot does to ya. But, of course, this all leads back to the main thing I'm talking about. In one of these, there seems to be a screenshot of that weird variant of Hlev again, and it isn't P.E.K.K.A. I guess Leather did want to do something with this guy, but yet, still, nothing for this guy. No concepts drawn. Perhaps the Leather, he was still nothing much, only being made as a simple NPC that Hlev can talk to. But again, his details being like Hlev's, but slightly different. It feels like he was important in some way. It sucks that Slavia's development didn't seem to pick up any attention from tons of people, because if many people saw this strange, similar variant of Hlev, they would be asking questions and probably get a response from Leather. For now, all we know is that this guy seemed to be in the back of Leather's mind whenever he worked on Slavia. But now, with all three builds of Slavia being covered, it's time to move on to what Slavia would eventually turn into. A game more like Leather's style. It was time for myths to be 100% true. And here we are, the moment where Hlev became all joyful and whimsical. You can obviously tell that the tone has completely changed, and that's definitely for the better. And finally, the gameplay is interesting! Yay! Instead of any stupid gun or a broken bottle, you got a camera, which is genuinely a great weapon. Well, you don't kill anyone, you just make them leave. The camera is just a simple area of damage that flashes in an instant, and with more myths in the flash granting more damage as combo, or doing things like dash camming or photobombing to get even more combo potential. And, of course, you get rewarded with a bonus with the better combo you get, with a satisfying, dopamine-filling sound effect. Anyways, myths are 100% true was what Leather went with, but this one didn't have Michael working on it since he probably needed to do something else that wasn't working with Leather. So instead, Leather got the help of Clay God, and things went from there. There's indeed a lot of information about Balut's in development, both on Leather's and Clay God's channels, so I suggest you go visit those if you want to look at that, since I don't want to clog up this section showing you every bit of progress that Balut has. And again, since Leather is the drawer, so concept arts will be aplenty. So let's see if there's anything for our strange little Hlev variant. And so there is. And this one's a big one. It seems to be him in the Mudeth style, with color and all. And now he finally has a name. Hlev. And he's blue, which complements Hlev now being orange. Oh my god, it all makes sense why this Hlev lookalike seems to always be along Hlev's side. Hlev is the Luigi to Hlev's Mario. They are a duo that's meant to be, and Leather has been thinking about them being with each other. That's why he seemed to keep coming back. And I guess since Leather was able to develop more of a Mudeth, it seemed like he finally got to make some concept art for this guy. And his name is Hlev, which is just a single letter different from Hlev. It's a stupid name, but it's simple and it works. But unfortunately for our little blue guy, it seems like he didn't make it in the final game. Since Mudeth released, I've played through it many times, and yet there's not a single moment with Hlev. It seems like Leather finally decided to not bring him in, even with looking through older Mudeth footage or the demo. Absolutely nothing for Hlev. It seemed like Hlev was always destined to not make it in there to be with Hlev, and Mudeth seems to work perfectly fine without him. So I guess it would be unnecessary to add a character that's basically just Hlev 2 or 3, since P.E.K.K.A is already a thing. So I guess Hlev is really is just redundant. Maybe he could have been a playable character, but at that point just use Hlev for whatever update or DLC there is. On paper, Hlev being the second playable character could have been cool, but in practice, Mudeth was probably not going to have co-op or multiplayer, so he was simply cut and not developed on. And there would also have to be a lot of new sprites to make, which could take a good bit, and also making Hlev work with all the previous stuff in Mudeth. Hlev would have to interact with all the characters, NPCs, and whatever else, so it would be a lot of dialogue a lot of new dialogue to write. So, in the end, it doesn't even matter that Hlev existed. He was always an idea that's cool to think about, but would be hell to execute. And so that's it. It seems like this trail of Hlev crumbs has come to an end. Until I discovered something. Thanks to someone, I discovered this secret settings. If you hold down whatever your camera flash button is and you go to saturation and you hold, you could go past the limits and retrieve a new saturation where all the colors are inverted. All the colors are inverted, where Hlev's orange turns to blue. Wait, there's something else.
Thank you everybody for watching. Please play the demo, and in my next video I'll talk about this exact same game except all the colors are inverted and I never explain it. Bye.
What do you mean by this? Surely it's just a coincidence. Nothing to think about. It could just be Leonard saying shit to be funny as always. But then there's more. There's a golden camera, which usually it makes the myths have different defeat animations. Usually they're just simple references to other things or some cool poses, but then there's the golden camera defeat animation for the bootleg. And, and what do you see? It turns the bootleg into Lev's colors. Why? And there's this Newgrounds post where they're talking about the new enemies he decided. There's just pale Lev colors? Why? Huh? What? What? Huh? Is blood really gone or not? Does this really lead to something, or are these just leftovers for something that get finished? Was it meant to be some way to unlock a blood, like an in-game puzzle or something? Uh, well, I guess we'll never get the answers. As blood is the character that's been hidden. It seems like it will stay that way. Well, despite this guy not being able to make it in any games, um, Myths Are 100% True is still a great game. It's still a wonderfully crafted game, inspired by early internet culture and all those amazing slow-ass GTA myth videos. And it can stand on its own without you knowing anything about Leather, nor knowing about anything he references. It all blends in so well that it feels natural and it's genuinely impressive. And hell, even making your own content for this game is a great time. You can make your own myths, you can make your own super myths. All you need is an infamously failed game to base it around. And you can even make your own photoslavs. There's so much to mess around with this game's universe-wise and game-wise. Hell, you could even make a recolored variant of Hlev. Okay, I don't think I can keep this up for any longer. Blev has been in OC. I've been drawing since the demo days of Balut, and some of you should know that. And with Blev, it allowed me to be very connected with Malut. I went from drawing barely any art for the game to now having an entire separate art folder for the blue guy and anything I draw Malut related. I have never drawn this much for a thing I like. But I don't want this video to be about Hlev. This video is about all the stuff that Hlev's game has gone through. All the development, all the concept arts, everything for the orange Photoslav guy. That is Hlev. To me, Leather isn't just the Isaac animation guy or the anti-birth slash repentance dev. Leather is Leathericecream to me. He's a guy who has many ideas, with many interests, and a lot of fondness for many obscure internet stuff. He makes game videos and video games. I'm glad that I decided to binge through all his videos from old to new, so I could learn more about Nin. Which is not the best idea. A lot of those old videos aren't the best. It's just there are better ways to learn about leather. Okay, don't go to those old videos. Do not. But it allowed me to see leather for what he is. He's a guy who's passionate for what he wants to talk about or for what he wants to develop on. And he's improved during the years. You saw how uninteresting that first Slavia is, and now Myths Are 100% True is this genuinely great game that's worth your attention. and worth your time. I played through at least there's Chedovic, Bone 2.exe, and Hedgehog's Dilemma for Robots. But not New Revenant Divide, I couldn't really play that one. But all of them are genuinely entertaining games with a lot of passion and care put into them. And so is Myths Are 100% True. And I just want to say thanks to Leather and Clay God and Mudeth for making this game. For making a game that has gained a lot of my interest, and I wanted to show that I genuinely cared for it. And I admit I may have been a bit too eager to always talk about Hlev whenever I could, back when I was first starting to draw him. I hope I didn't annoy with anyone with that. That's why Hlev matters to me. It's my way to show how much I really do love this game. And now, if it ever gets confirmed he won't be added in, I can accept the fact that Hlev isn't in it, or probably won't be in it, because the game is already perfect in my eyes. And in reality, the character that's been hidden is Hlev. I really don't want Myths Are 100% True to be disregarded because it isn't a Isaac animation. Hlev deserves to be seen by the many people to show that his game and himself are both pretty fucking cool. So, again, 5 stars to Myths Are 100% True and 5 stars to Leather. Thanks for watching. Okay, but give me 5 stars because I ran out of all of them, and because I gave them all to Leather, and I am wrong.